Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive, that's all the stars rating on your favorite listening platform. It helps SPN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Sandra.
I'm Kasey, and we're doing another character deep dive kind of thingy. We even have a fucking document this time, y'all. It's been a bit. What was the last one of these we did? It's not been that long, is it? We did Chuck.
We did Chuck a few months ago. I think by the time this one comes out.
Where the fuck has 2024 gone? This is bullshit.
It's
oh, months when this comes out, not months this week.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Scare me like that one.
It is, because I don't even know. I'm looking now. When are we going to put it? When are we popping this baby in? I don't even know.
We don't know. We're so fucking professional, you guys. We're so professional. I don't know. Maybe. But
it looks like October. October is when this is supposed to come out. This is the schedule. Yes, October. We'll see. We'll see what it's.
Oh, look at it. It's on the thing and everything. Look at that. She's so fucking prepared, guys.
I try when I'm not driving Kasey crazy. I try.
You're never driving me crazy. Shut up. No.
Oh, goodness.
But we're doing a deep dive, and we're not going to do like not like a weird, but we're not going to do something different like we did with Chuck. This is just going to be a bog standard character deep dive. And yes, I am putting off telling you who we're deep diving. Well done for noticing. No, since we did Chuck and all his godlike nonsense, we thought that we did not think this at all. I'm making this up right now. We could never do behind the scenes content because I just yank back the curtain and go, look, behold, it's a man and a puppet. No. It's Jack, y'all. It's Jack. I can sit here and spin you a really great yarn that we thought after doing Chuck, we should look at the new god and, compare the differences and shit like that. That's not true at all. We have a list of characters. We went, we should do a character deep dive. We went down the list and went, Jack.
Yeah, but we do have the new god as like the title. And I think that was kind of what we were thinking of. We have that? Yeah, it says the new god.
Oh my God, you do?
Yeah.
Look at that. See, if I read the documents before we started, I'd be fucking unstoppable, y'all. Fucking unstoppable. But it is Jack. Just a character deep dive. What do we think about Jack, the new god Klein? With a wiki and a prayer, I'm going to talk about it. Sandra, help me.
So
how did you initially take to the introduction of the Jack character? Sorry, go do your thing first.
I've talked about this before with Jack, I think when we've talked to a couple other people about, he was not my favorite character introduction. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we were 13 seasons in to a show that at that point, I think they were running out of stuff to do, running out of material, running out of ideas.
Yep.
And they felt like they had to inject a younger actor / character into the dynamic, maybe in order to bring in a new set of fans, whatever the idea was. We've seen this happen in lots of other shows that have been on for a while. Usually one of the signs it's about ready to end is, people are starting to get married, people are starting to have babies,
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jack was, obviously like the baby part of the situation. I will say I actually felt like we were kind of robbed of the whole baby aspect of it. I really would have liked to have had time with Sam and Dean and even Cass with a baby Jack.
With a baby.
I think that would have been interesting because I just think about, I don't know if you've seen The Incredibles, but I just think about Jack and about how crazy of a baby that was and how all these powers and everything like that. And I think I just kind of think Jack, like that would have been crazy, insane. Even if it had just been like, how Supernatural usually does. 3 or 4 episodes, and then all of a sudden, boom, we get the adult situation. Because I've seen
like Amara.
Yeah.
Like Amara. Yeah.
But even like more like, this is like the baby they were taking care of. Because
you wanted more Daddy
Dean with a baby. And Sam would have been cute with a baby too. And I think even Cass would have been cute with a baby, not knowing what the heck to do, maybe holding him by the ankles or whatever, and just kind of looking at it with a tilt of his head. I think that would have been interesting. Yeah. It would have been an interesting thing to see, and see them again, like 3 men and a baby, or 2 men, an angel and a baby, like that kind of a thing. It just,
that would have been, that would have been cute.
and I know there's plenty of fanfic that have probably done this. I wouldn't even bother to go look because I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of, I was like, oh, we're getting this now. And I really didn't like him at first. I didn't like him at first.
I will say before you kind of move on to like your thoughts on Jack the character, I agree that I would have loved to have seen 2 men, an angel, and a baby. That would have been cute, y'all. In the same way that like I imagine Dean wears a frilly pink apron in Heaven, and it's cute.
Yeah.
But I like, excuse me, I got to get my shitty little as a parent soapbox out, right? As a parent. The part about that I really, really loved is when they kind of question Jack and they're like, well, why are you like a grown-ass man? And he says, my mother said the world was dangerous and I had to grow up quickly. So I did. As a parent, on my wanky little soapbox, the concept of having a child is inherently frightening. It's you can go on any mum page and there'll be a bajillion and one memes of like having a baby is a decision to let your heart walk around outside of your body. Gross. But it is scary. It is. And especially like when I had my children, and this is a weird fucking sentence to say, when I had my children, the world was mostly kind of stable. It was kind of all right. I had my children in 2011 and 2018. So while my youngest is not quite a pandemic baby, he was a pandemic toddler. And of course, I would like to preface and acknowledge both my Western and white privilege here, because there are mothers all over the world that do not have those, that fear for their babies consistently forever. But I would imagine, as someone either from the UK or from the US or from the Western world, it must be more frightening to have a child in the world that we live in now, in the current political climates that we live in, and ecologically and climate change and things like that. And it is frightening as a parent, and you go through the sort of the natural aging process, and the ouchies and the boo-boos get bigger, and you can't always fix them with a band-aid and a kiss, and it's difficult to know how to deal with that. And you really do wish that you could just not grow them up instantly. I've never wished that, but you want to protect them. Yeah. You do, and the world is dangerous, and it's going to hurt them, and you can try and mitigate that, but you can't stop it.
Yeah.
And the idea to me that Jack was listening to Kelly and was hearing what she was saying and
took it literally.
Took it literally, but it's like I find something really beautiful in that. And sort of double for Kelly, who knew that she was gonna die, and she was never gonna see Jack, never gonna quote unquote meet him on Earth. That must have been even harder. And without I'm never going to give any credit to Wizard Karen, literally ever. I felt a similar kind of way when it was revealed in Harry Potter that Lily Potter's sacrifice had, kind of shielded her son, and it wasn't anything anybody could see or sense, but it was this, this last defense that she had given him. I resonated with that as well in the same kind of way. And again, on my wanky little as a parent still. There are very few parents who wouldn't say, I would fucking shove them out of the way and jump in front of a bus for them. There are very few parents out there that wouldn't say, I would take anything. I would jump in front of them for anything. So I would take it and not them. Yeah. And that kind of like manifests that. Literally, she told him the world was dangerous and he would have to grow up quickly. So he did. I don't know. It just leaves me feeling some kind of way.
That's sweet.
And I'm
just like, nope, I didn't like him.
Like, no, I didn't like it. But it was like the whole scene when Sam comes in and meets him. And he's crouched in the corner, but there's the mural.
Looking. Yeah, the murals, they're very sweet and innocent, and he's looking very like...
We are coming at this from different places. Sandra's like, I was not here for any of this. And I'm like, the fucking mural that his mum hand painted while she was pregnant, and he's in the room because I don't think she gave birth in that room, but like that's where he was.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of like in this space that she'd made for him, knowing that she'd never see him there, and
Is he, like,
that's
under the
where
tree?
he is.
Is that where he like was he when he was in the corner? Was he under the tree?
I can't remember if he was under the tree or if he was in the corner.
I know he was in the corner, but I wonder if like the tree was over top of him.
The tree branches might have been over the top of him, but I just remember sort of that scene, and he's like crouched in the corner in shadow, but you can really clearly see the Jack on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think maybe it gets me a little bit more because there's kind of, you know, Kelly knew that she wasn't ever gonna see him Earthside, if you will.
Yeah.
That kind of hits me a little bit more, but that mother's sacrifice, seeing that manifest, has always been really powerful to me, and it's, you know, it's very the same. And Sandra obviously thought Jack was scary with the eyes and stuff, and I'm about to ruin all of that by being like, God damn, Alex is a fucking boy is a snack, and then I feel really gross and really weird because I think he's younger than me.
No, I think did you find out that he's older than you?
Well, maybe. Hang on one second.
I think he thought he was younger, but then you looked it up and he was actually, I think, older than you.
I did think he was younger. He might be around my age. I don't know. Let's investigate. Let's see what Wiki says.
Okay. Because I know for me, he's definitely too.
Oh, no, he's
Is he around your age?
He's 33. He's turning 34 No, he's just turned 34.
Okay.
Yeah, the wiki, this wiki hasn't been updated. He was born in 1990 and I was born in 1991.
Okay.
So he is, if we want to be really pedantic about it, April, May, June, July, 8 months older than me.
So he is older. Okay.
But that's like, you got to bear in mind that like by the time I was watching, it was after season 13 aired that I watched it. So technically, he was younger than, I don't know. And he's got a real baby face anyway.
Well, regardless of that, I mean, the character in and of himself, I'm like, it's a very complicated situation. So even though he had to grow up because the world wasn't a safe place, he really is he's got the knowledge, but he's got the naivete about him too. That just makes him he does remind me a lot of Cass, like, but not as hard-edged as Cass in the beginning. So very much like not still learning, how humans are, like everything's kind of new and fresh and very like alien situation, that he, at least in the first few episodes, I mean, he's kind of always has that little oddness about him, but it gets not better, but it just changes over time.
I think because we had Jack for such a little amount of time versus Castiel, it was, and I think more grace was given to Jack because everyone had kind of, we'd been there for like the quote unquote birth, the pregnancy. We knew that he was a baby, whereas Cass didn't have that same kind of grace because he was like, I'm a fucking wave of celestial intent and I'm Asian and whatever. But it was much more endearing with Jack, I think, because I was like, it was real easy to go, oh my God, he's like 2 though. Like he's a baby, Yeah. Whereas Cass, it was a little bit different.
I think another reason I did not like Jack initially was because it was the end of 12 into 13.
Yeah, he appeared at the end of 12.
Yeah, and there were a lot of things that had occurred at the end of 12 that I wasn't happy with in terms of like the final episode. And then to throw another person in and then have the other people eventually come back, except for Crowley. I kind of felt like there was a definite shift in the show. I mean, and the show goes through those stages of showrunner and different things like that. And I think by then Andrew Dabb had he'd been at, like, I think he's really started with like season 12 a little bit in season 11, but so we were in Dabb territory and stuff like that. But
and also as well, while we'd had, if we think Team Free Will, Cass and the boys, while we'd had guest stars, let's say recurring guest stars, we've never had somebody like Jack that was suddenly main cast.
Yeah.
Bobby was a recurring guest star. Crowley was a recurring guest star, and they popped in for, sometimes they'd be there for half a season, but then you'd still have time where it was just Sam, Dean, and Cass, or just Sam and Dean. So then it was like, oh, here's this dude, and he's here all the time now, and he lives in the bunker, and he's here all of the time, and you never really got to like breathe.
But wouldn't they do the same thing too with like Kevin? Like when Kevin was there one season, but then they would have certain situations where Kevin was just not there, but they would make an excuse like they used to for Cass, like why Cass wasn't around and stuff.
But the thing, Kevin, we had time with Kevin before that.
Yeah.
Because Kevin was the prophet, and then there was Kevin on Garth's boat, and we had time with Kevin as a character before. And I
don't like sharing the bunker with other people. I think that's my problem. That's my problem.
It's not even the bunker for me. It's not even the bunker. It's just that he was just this enormously prominent figure, like right from the jump. We never had like Bobby was fed to us in little bits, Crowley was fed to us in little bits. Kevin was fed to us in little bits. Even Cass was fed to us in little bits. But then it was just like, boom, new guy, all in completely. And I was like,
and Jack was a responsibility, I think, too, that ended up. And again, this is where the idea of Jack is approached very differently from both Sam and Dean. So I'm probably coming at it from Dean's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are we doing
and
this?
That's, I've got to say, by the time we got to like 12, the end of 12, 13, I don't want to say we'd lost sight of the monster of the week, because as we all know, 4 episodes before the end of the whole fucking show, they were like, hey, what if we did a flashback monster of the week episode? Right. I don't want to say that we totally lost sight of that, but it had become much more mundane. And those kind of ethical questions that Sam and Dean had struggled with, like Amy, and Dean kills Amy and Sam's pissed about it. And Emma, and Sam kills Emma and Dean feels some kind of way about it. And those like ethical, moral dilemmas that they grappled with in the earlier seasons of, is there such a thing as a good monster? Are we the monsters? Do we always have to kill? Is there a justification? That had kind of fallen away. We'd moved past it. But when Jack came back, suddenly it was real back and forth. And Dean's like, it's a monster. We kill it. It's the son of Lucifer. Whereas Sam's like, but he hasn't done anything wrong. He's innocent until proven guilty. Like, he can be better just because he is the son of Lucifer. We can, like, train is not the right word, but we can make him. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We can teach him to be better. He's not inherently bad just because of who his father is. And I feel like that really, really kind of brought all that back to the forefront in a pretty good way. I was kind of here for it. I was kind of here for it. And again, my love and interest in things being so much focused on bloopers and behind the scenes, I am always going to be a fan of the fact that they didn't give Alex one goddamn fucking minute before they started in episode 1, season 13, in the police station, and Jensen's being a dick, and Jack's just like, I don't know. Oh, Alex, I don't know what to do. Am I allowed to laugh? What is happening right now? With Jensen and Jared just riffing off each other and being ridiculous, and he's in that dumb little cardigan like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then later on in the, oh god, I can't even remember what fucking episode it is, but then in the cowboy themed motel, and Dean's living his best life, and there's a blooper or something from the gag reel where Alex is like, it's not getting any better, and Misha's like, it never gets any better. Buckle in, motherfucker. So I'm like, those kind of things really, like, they shouldn't, but they do endear me and ingratiate me to a character. But I did like the fact that they suddenly have this quote unquote monster on their hands, and it was again that ethical debate of what do we do? Yeah, which I think I really think by that point the show as a whole had got to a shoot first, ask questions later kind of place. Like, Ketch killing Mick in cold blood really fundamentally changed something in the show for me. And you'd think it wouldn't, because Sam and Dean have killed civilians before. But there's just something about that scene where he fires and you just see the spray of blood really got to me, because I was like, what? Humans don't kill humans. That's not what we do here. What the fuck is happening? And I think Jack, kind of brought us back to where we were, not quite when we started, but the themes of the earlier seasons of, what is a monster, and are we the monsters, and all that kind of stuff. And again, I will say Alex is a fucking snack. And I can say that from a place of comfortable now, because he's 8 months older than me, so I'm golden. Man is a goddamn snack. Look at him. And he's naked in at the end of 12. And I think he's naked for a little bit of the start of 13.
Yeah.
I will say as well, Genevieve of the Boys ruined that for me, because he was naked in the Boys and then his dick exploded. So, I was all like, yes, Alex, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. That was pretty triggering, seeing that. I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, I think
we should. Do you want to keep going about Jack for a little bit, or should we pause to Alex? Because we usually talk about how good a job the actor does.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say to you, like with Jack, I think that he was a character that initially I was like, no, but then it really took a lot. That whole season with Apocalypse World and stuff was a lot for me. So I think
that was a bad place for him to come in, because I was like, I have a lot of fucking issues with this, and you are not helping any of them.
So I think once we got like out of that, and then really started to talk about like him having to his powers, the situation, he was starting to get sick, like all that stuff, and he was like his redemption. I think always wanting to try to, I think, be better, prove that he wasn't what everybody thought he was just because of his background. I thought was important. But then I think also being like towards the end of 14, it was tough because, they didn't know what to do with him because of everything that had happened, like the whole Mary thing. Like,
what? Shut up. That's my favorite episode of 14.
I know it's your favorite episode. But my thing is like, I feel like Jack is tied to a lot of trauma for the boys,
oh yeah.
And that I think to me is one of the reasons why I'm kind of like, ugh, like, having to extricate that from the relationship is hard, and I could see where Dean was having issues with it. And then where Sam was trying to be like, no. And again, Sam taking on the, well, would you have done that to me just because you thought I was capable of something like that? No, you wanted to try to find a way to save me. Like, so bringing that back again, was interesting. But
and
it did take me a while, really. It took me a while. But I think one of my favorite episodes too is when, he's not doing well. Dean takes him out and they just have moments together, that are just like memories to make. And I think that's kind of like where I was like, okay, but then it goes to shit again. So as it usually does on Supernatural, but yeah. So he's difficult. He's a difficult character for me. Because I'm like, oh, but then this thing happened. And then, and then Dean almost killed you. It's just
there's a lot of they packed a whole heap into Jack's story, in the 3 seasons that we had him.
Yeah.
But I also like the fact that he never kind of, people expected certain things of him, and he, consciously or not, subverted those expectations. He never threw his hands up and went, well, guess I'm evil because my dad's Lucifer. He made mistakes. Mary Winchester was not one of them, by the way. Nobody at me. No, I will not be taking comments at this time. No, he did make mistakes, but he did keep trying to be the best version of himself.
I think a lot of it too is like the power, right? Like just not being fully aware of how much power he was capable of. And I think that
that's like handing a toddler a rocket launcher. You wouldn't do that. Nobody would do that. That's a terrible idea.
I remember,
but that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, the one episode where he was with the kids, and he was trying to like impress them, and then all of a sudden it just became this, somebody almost died, and he had to, he ended up saving them, but then he held on to that, didn't tell. Again, he learned from everybody quite well about when to keep secrets, when to not tell every bit of information. Like he held on to stuff a lot. and would take on responsibility that maybe he should have given someone else to help him bear, but he would take it upon himself. And that was a very sacrificial part of being a Winchester. I think that he glommed onto that right away, and did those things.
And I think that was a very powerful moment when I can't even remember who's fucking fighting, Michael maybe. Oh, when he's like, I'm a Winchester. You know, it was really powerful. And he's like, I don't know, he's like, that just kind of reminds me of a puppy. Like sometimes it pees on the carpet, but it's never on purpose. You know, you get like, it's kind of hard to stay mad at him. He's really cute. And he's never doing it out of malice. Just sometimes, you know, and it's he's
and
just
like not in control of his emotions. He's still very young and still learning. And
even when he lost his soul and he was still like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm just I think he handled being soulless a lot better than Sam did. I'm gonna lie. I think he fucked everything in a like 20-mile radius of Lawrence, Kansas. That's not the right place. Lebanon. That's the one.
Oh,
Lebanon. No, wait, is it?
Lebanon, Kansas. Yeah. That's where the bunker is? Yeah.
That's the one. I don't know. I'm confusing my Lawrences and my Lebanons. Why are there so many cities beginning with L in Kansas?
Oh goodness.
Yeah. But let's just for a second hop on over to Alex. And every one of these deep dives, I think I've said the same thing, which is perfectly cast. There's no bad casting in Supernatural, I think, which is actually really interesting because when I was in Liverpool, I was watching the Supernatural panel with Jared and Mark Shepherd, and Mark had said that there were people that weren't great, but they would come on and try their best, and I was like, please give us names, Mark, please, Mark Shackle, tell me the names of the people you thought were shit actors. Tell me the names. But he didn't. He was a consummate professional. He didn't. But he was like, because they were talking about like just like being on set and what, like, you know, and they were just like, you know, your attitude really matters and you show up and you get the job done, and you know, you don't have to be the best, but you have to be like reliable, shit like that. The panel's on YouTube. You can go watch it at any point, dear listeners. Like everyone else we fucking talked about, I can't imagine anybody other than Alex being Jack. He's the absolute perfect blend of like child in a fully grown man's body. I'm really sorry if you're listening to this, Alex. I know you're like an esteemed actor and you know you're doing really great things, but that was the first thing I saw you in and I thought you nailed it, buddy. I thought you nailed it. And he's very sweet and very endearing and very cute.
He plays an asshole really well though too, like on Gen V. He did that really well.
He did do that really well. But also, like Sandra said when we first met Jack, very, very capable of being very frightening. You know, and I would like that said with the caveat of I've seen Alex shoved into a photo, and I'm still like, oh no, I can see it. No. And like again though, on Gen V, scary. That scene before his dick explodes, like the kind of the malice and the predatoriness that's coming off him. But you
don't see any Jack in that.
No.
At all. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. But I do think he's got that kind of. I don't want to compare him to Jared and Sam, but that same kind of like a similar kind of like, no, I'm just a puppy dog until I'm fucking not though. You know, and I think.
So, what kind of puppy?
What kind of puppy? Well, have we established what kind of puppy Jared is?
I would think like a Labrador, golden retriever. Puppy. Yeah,
golden retriever, just all big paws and ears, and just tragicness.
So, what would Jack be?
Oh, I don't know.
He's smaller puppy. Doesn't get as big.
Nobody gets as big as Jared. He's Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Jared.
Maybe. Yeah, you know, maybe. I was thinking something maybe like a husky or something like that, where they could be real silly, but then suddenly it's like fucking no. You know, like I don't particularly think.
Like Jack Russell Terrier, maybe.
Oh yeah,
maybe?
Yeah. I think it depends if we're talking about Jared or Sam, because Jared is a golden retriever, like to the bone. There's not a mean bone in him. He's a fucking delight. Sam, I would call him like a German Shepherd or a Doberman or something like that. You know, like absolutely capable of being the
Cute
cutest,
German
but
Shepherd. Yeah, I could
fucking
see German Shepherd.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I could even I find German Shepherds cuter than pit bulls.
Mhm.
But I do not buy into I love
Mhm.
pit bulls. I don't buy into any of the hate. There's no bad dogs. There's only bad breeders and bad owners.
Mhm.
But like I could see Sam as like a pit bull that's just like all dopey smiles and grins and oh my god, I wear pajamas. I'm the fucking you what, mate? Like you can't argue that a pit bull barking and snarling at you is fucking scary.
Mhm.
You know, but most of the time, like I wear pajamas and I smile. That's cute. I think, yeah. Let's go with Jack Russell Terrier for Jack because they're
Okay.
stupid as puppies, real stupid. I've met them; they're dumb as shit.
But then they have a lot of energy, and then they're like very interested, and like maybe.
Yeah.
What kind of puppy do you think Jack would be if he was a puppy? Because we've established Jared.
No.
Sam.
Let us know what you think Sam would be as well. I will not be taking any comments on Jared because that man is a golden retriever,
But
and
Sam,
I will hear nothing else. And Sam, and also to complete it, what kind of puppy do you think Dean is? Because I think Dean's always a little bit like.
God.
And I'm trying to think of a dog that matches that kind of.
I don't know. Because I'm not good enough with dog breeds to really like. I'm sure somebody already has this figured out.
I would say I think Dean is a little bit like a not so much in looks, but in temperament.
Could we make him a mutt or no? He's not a mutt.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I'd make him a Japanese Akita or a Shiba Inu. So a Japanese Akita is distinct from an American Akita, and the only reason I would do that is because both of those breeds are notoriously prickly. Let's say they're kind of like one person, or like one family kind of dogs, and they don't really want to have anything to do with anybody else outside of that.
Okay.
And they're like I know a Shiba Inu is like the Doge meme, and that's cute, right? But Japanese Akitas, they're very big and they're very floofy, and like my dad owned one. He was cute as fuck, but they're not like like pit bulls smile, golden retrievers smile, like. You can look at a German Shepherd and see it being goofy and rolling around with its legs in the air, and like Japanese Akitas don't really have that. They don't really. They're just kind of quite stoic dogs.
Okay. I'm looking at pictures of them now, and I'm seeing some stoic stuff, but then I'm also seeing some really happy faces. So
they're capable of happy faces.
Yeah.
They are, but as like a. Like if you think of like a pit bull, for example, when I think of a pit bull, I think of the pit bull smile. Just really big, like they got those big cheeks and those big jowls, so it looks like they're grinning. Same with like golden retrievers or Samoyeds. I mean, their mouths still upward naturally. I think of an Akita as quite like a stoic dog. And then they're fully capable of cutting back and having some fun and being goofy, but they're quite stoic. But I'm more thinking like temperament. They're kind of just like, you're not my person, go away.
Yeah.
And like they're not going to rip your face off, but they're just like, no.
It's like no. It's gonna it's gonna take a bit, I think. Yeah. That sounds like Dean.
But do you like let us know. Let us know. But no, Alex is just he's that perfect blend of like sweet and soft and I'm a baby, I'm a puppy. And then just when he gets going, he's frightening. And it's very I don't want to say short man energy because he's not short. Well, he is a little bit, but that's not where it comes from. But it's like I don't like overcompensating is not the right word. There is more rage there than you would expect for someone of his stature. Let's say he's little, bless him, and we love him. We love him but he's little.
Okay, well, I mean, the other thing I was just thinking about too is like, aside from Alex and what a great job that he did was not seeing him get to interact with a bunch of characters that I really would have wanted to see too. Like, and again, Supernatural being on forever, even though he got to interact with a version of Bobby, it wasn't our
Bobby.
And, that kind of just made me a little bit like, I kind of got irritated about that too. Same thing with like Charlie. He got to interact with Rowena a bit, but again, there was no Crowley. So I kind of feel like a lot of the actors have like their space and time in Supernatural, and I would love to have seen more overlap, of the actors and the characters and stuff like that. So I think it just he just felt he was pushed into the end, you know, like the last 3 seasons, and he missed out on working with a lot of great actors, I feel like.
And I would have liked to see, like, I would have liked to see Bobby with not like a child, because obviously he was like, you know, this was an adult man.
Mhm.
This is an adult male. But like someone with Jack's childlike self, I would have liked to, because we got like snippets of Bobby and the boys as children, but I would have liked to have seen that. I would have liked to have seen our Charlie, you know, love on him and just be like, oh my God, he's just the fucking cutest, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do agree with you that he was, if we could have, I don't know, if we'd have had him earlier, I might have accepted him like a little bit better. Sandra might have accepted him a little bit better. But I do, like, Alex just did a fucking phenomenal job to come into such an established cast and crew and show, and you know, there must have been so much pressure, and he really fucking nailed it.
Absolutely.
Really knocked it out of the park. And like, I can't let an episode about Jack go by without talking about Belphegor, who is hands down one of my favorite demons literally ever, who hits on Dean like literally like fully out in the open, like balls out, and Dean is just like, what are you talking about? What the fuck? And like the douchey sunglasses because his eyes have been burned out. Just, and again, I don't think that Alex was new to acting when he came in, but I think it might have been like, that's still after only a couple of seasons to sort of get your character under your belt to then go, oh, BT dubs, now you're completely new.
Yeah. That was definitely like a supernatural baptism. Like, hey, guess what? You get to play a completely different character now, you know, like on this show. So I think that was interesting. I did like that character. I didn't, again, on rewatches, I liked him more. But at first I was like, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? You know, then I was like, okay. And then, he's so smarmy and, you know, just, you don't see any of Jack in him, which I think is the sign of a good actor too. You know, and again, like they're having to interact as their characters are having to interact with something that looks like Jack but is not Jack, and that's all sorts of betrayal, you know, that they're having to deal with and contend with, and it's just another way that, you know, supernatural fucked with them, you know, just time and time again, and it's not
actually fun. I just looked it up now, and he was actually played a recurring role in Arrow, which was also
I'd seen him in that, and he was definitely, he was a bad guy in that. I think
he was a bad guy. Anarchy with a K. Ugh, gross. I'm not gonna blame Alex for that. Like, he didn't. It's whoever wrote the comic book. But yeah, so that you have to assume he probably knew. He was in it for like a year. So maybe he had met Jared and Jensen. You know, he probably knew some of the CW crew. Sorry, you know, like it was not completely unfamiliar to him. And actually, he'd done a fair bit of TV and film before he came onto Supernatural. So he was not the fresh-faced young actor that I thought he was. So
he just looked it.
Sorry, Alex. Have you tried not having such a beautiful baby face? I'm not blaming you for that one. Yeah. My man's been acting since like 2005. That's wild.
Okay.
That's wild. How old was he in 2005? How old was I in 2005?
Well, if he's 90, he was born in 1990. He was 15, right?
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, little baby man.
Yeah.
Little baby man.
He reminds me of like Leo. Like when he first came out, I was like, oh, they're going for like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, I realized I have to, but like I got that kind of like vibe from him too, that they were like going for not teeny bopper, not that, but just because he was so much younger than Sam and Dean, it was just very obvious they were trying something to get another audience involved, even though I've heard plenty of people like, hey, I'm fine with them being older. So that's
the thing as well. A lot of the old guard of Supernatural, like, we don't need young blood, shut up, we're fine. It was a risky choice by the CW for sure, but I don't think Sandra would disagree that we wouldn't be without Jack.
No, everybody's got everybody that's come onto the show, I think, has done a great job with their character in one way or another. And the show wouldn't be the show without all of the different bits and pieces, that make it. So you take all those together, and that's what you get.
But yeah, let's hop into some kind of character relations. So Sandra wrote a list, which is real helpful. Thank you, Sandra. It starts with Sam. I don't know why, but I do. I love the dynamic between Sam and Jack. I was going to say Castiel, but not Sam and Jack, because we never really got to see Sam interact with kids. He's shown being
sustained, right? Like a sustained period of time. I felt like it was a lot. Yeah.
He's never really shown sort of any real interest in kids. Like obviously Dean bonds a lot with the children in the early seasons, and of course Lisa and Ben. But the only kind of interaction we get is the shapeshifter baby, and he's soulless, so that doesn't count because he's like, gross. Obviously, Amara, like neither of the boys interact with child Amara. Oh no, Dean does, baby Amara, but that's that's kind of. So I really loved seeing Sam kind of, quite happily fall into this uncle role, and really go to bat for Jack and be like, but he's not, just because he came from doesn't mean he is. Blah 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 blah. And also again, behind the scenes, something that got Jared kicked off the set is in one of Jack's early episodes where Sam hands him a laptop and goes, here, learn some shit. Apparently there was hardcore porn that Jared had put on the laptop when he handed it to Alex and went, here. And obviously caused Alex to crack up laughing and ruin the shot and got Jared kicked out again. God. That happens a lot. Poor Jared. Nobody wants him on set. If only he could control himself. That's funny though. And Alex isn't the only person that they've done to. That was a recurring theme of Jared and Jensen. If they had to hand somebody something with a screen, it would have porn on it when they handed it over. That's funny. That's funny. But no, I did. I really liked that kind of like y'all will have to forgive me. I haven't watched the last seasons of Supernatural more than once, so I'm kind of just like I can remember the beginning and the end, but not so much the middle. Unless it comes with a hysterical blooper, like the episode where Dean takes him out and teaches him to drive, and they have a good day, and then Jared is fucking hysterical in the bloopers afterwards. I think life is risky. Licking a battery. Sandra, in an episode that we recorded earlier today, Sandra went full Ruth is going to stab you on me because we were trying to wrap something up. And I was like, wait, here's another fucking useless fact. And I swear to God, I felt Sandra's through the Zoom. Seriously. I'm going to stab you. Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked how he leaned into it and he was like, he went to bat for Jack and he was like, just because
he kept trying, right?
Came from evil doesn't make him evil. And, he kind of like.
Jack in the Box was really difficult though. Like that episode where he was really trying to keep him, and then Dean was like, no, we've got to contain him. And he had to lie to him, to get him in there. And I know that was hard for him too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked getting to see Sam interact with a quote unquote young like child, but in an adult man body. But I liked being given that glimpse of seeing how Sam would potentially not necessarily parent. I don't think Sam threw himself into a parental role, more of just like a fun uncle. And I enjoyed that. What about you, Sam?
I mean, Sam, I definitely think that, like you were saying, he was very protective and just projected a lot of what he'd gone through onto Jack. And I think that underdog part of it was just like, no, you've got to give him a chance to prove himself. And I mean, unfortunately, I think like then if we switch into the relationship that he had with Dean, I think there was always this disappointment that I think he was trying to overcome with Dean. I think Dean and Jack, it's much more complicated of a relationship because of Dean, not because of Jack, and him trying to work through whatever he's always trying to work through. So I think he made it.
But I think correct me if I'm wrong, but did not Castiel die, quote unquote, around the same time that Jack?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So I think
it was
that
Jack,
definitely played into
Mary getting taken, like she went to the apocalypse world.
Yeah.
I think those two things, and then again,
yeah, and that really that fucked Dean up,
and then
so
Mary
that really
again,
set him off.
And then that, I mean, they continued that for a while, and how, like, you know, Jack was trying to make up for that to Dean. I mean, they extended that all the way into like towards the end of 15, really, like, you know, about what he was trying to do to make up for
you blow up a guy's mother one time, you never hear the end of it. No.
So
I did like though that despite what Dean wanted, he didn't want anything to do with Jack. He considered him a monster. He couldn't help it, like dad mode kicked in.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, it's not a baby like it was with Sammy, but I've got to make sure it doesn't die. You know?
Yeah.
And like even while like Jack in the Box, and even while he was planning that kind of stuff, and he was still like, I've got to make sure it lives. Can't let it put a fork in the outlet.
See, this is where I always get upset with Dean too, because I feel like, and we've talked about this, Dean has tears. And you like, not like Sam's like at the very tippy top, and then there's everybody else beneath him. And I think that at sometimes he did use Jack as a means to an end in a lot of situations. And so that's where I, again, like, that's really more of a Dean problem in that regard. So yeah, their dynamic could be very sweet, and it could be very like dad and learning, and you know, there could be moments, but he was always just very like, he felt like he was always very on guard with Jack.
Yeah, he was always ready to throw him straight under the bus and be like, oh, look, we got to get rid of him, you know, or he's
got to blow up. We got to, like, he was like, we blow up, we take care of Amara and everything else. It's like, you know, he's the bomb, he's got to go. And it's just like, and again, that was a really bad scene, because that was when, you know, Sam was trying to convince Dean not to do the thing. And then what does Dean do? Pulls a gun on Sam.
Yeah, we don't, you know. We don't like that scene for a lot of reasons. We don't like that scene for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say Dean much more prickly of a relationship, very more imbalanced, and just didn't kind of know. I think Jack really tried very hard to win Dean's care, love, respect.
I think it was respect. I think Jack was very much trying to, because Dean made no secret of the fact that he considered Jack to be a monster and evil by right of birth. You know, he was the son of Lucifer, and that makes him a monster. Yeah. And I think Jack was trying really hard to get Dean's approval, to get Dean to, you know, deem him not monster. And that's sad in a variety of ways. But I did like the way that Dean was like, well, I don't but we can't let it die. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I would really rather none of this had happened, but it has happened now, and it is here. And I just think it would be really cool if we didn't let it stick a fork in the outlet.
Yeah.
You know, like, reluctant father.
Then how about Cass?
Talking about Cass was certainly not a reluctant father at all. If Sam's the fun uncle and Dean's the reluctant father, who really rather we didn't go through with this, but it's here now, so that's fine. Cass was balls in, balls deep. Cass was all in. And my feelings on Castiel have changed since I watched the last few seasons of Supernatural, as you all know. But I really liked watching Cass with Jack, and in the same way that Jack declaring himself a Winchester, not a Klein. I thought was really powerful. When Jack turns around and goes, "My father's name is Castiel." I thought that was really powerful as well. And I think we'd seen Cass be the bearer of so much destruction. And I know he tried to kill Kelly and Jack. I know that. I read it on the Wikipedia about 10 minutes ago. It's irrelevant. I know that. The way he was kind of like really took to Jack and took this responsibility, you know, very seriously, and kept advocating for him, you know, and and getting into fight with Dean about it. And
I think it was a big part
I liked it.
of the humanity part, that I think they kind of like worked on with Cass too, like him getting to have that role. Maybe
then,
too that he didn't get with Claire, that he took away from, Jimmy and then all those
lessons learned.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sandra will correct me if I'm wrong and this will get cut. But like everybody remembers Castiel's confession before the empty came for him, but it was Jack that Cass made that deal for. Or am I wrong?
So he said, it was to save Jack from the empty, and he said that about the happiness and all that. Like that's
but that was the deal that Castiel made. That take me, release him, and take me. Yeah, and Cass was fine to go then. It was the empty that went. Oh, I'm going to come when you're at your most happiest. But it's always such is always the way. It's whatever we may think of it. That is a fucking enormous character moment, an enormous confession.
Yeah.
It was an enormous character moment for Cass, and rightly so. But I think it's worth to remember that the whole reason that moment exists is because Cass was like, "Take me."
Yeah.
And that's very, like I was saying in the beginning with Kelly and the mother's sacrifice that I find so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That was that same kind of, I'd jump in front of a bus for them, I'd take a bullet for them. You could really tell that Cass was all in from the beginning with this.
Yeah, I
think it brought a side to Castiel that we hadn't seen before. That I think was quite welcome.
I think so.
Yeah, it was nice to see. It was nice to see Cass sort of engage with someone like that, because yes, he was eons older than Sam and Dean, but they were like fully grown adults when he met them. They knew some shit before he came along. Jack was like this blank slate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary.
Well, and that's the only reason I put her in, is just because she does have, her storyline was very much intertwined with Jack's and Apocalypse World, and they gave us the impression that they had built a bond in Apocalypse World that transferred over into, when they came back, and of course then using that to have Jack be the one that takes Mary out situation. But I felt that in some ways maybe Mary was even trying to make up for Sam and Dean with Jack, which again is a whole bunch of issue that I, why don't you just deal with your own kids? But
yeah, Mary.
Yeah. It's a little complicated too with that, as she always is with a lot of situations. But I don't know what you thought of her and Jack.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, I only watched the last few seasons once. And the only Mary bit that sticks out in my mind is the explosion. And again, I kind of feel like that was like victim blaming, because the woman is dead. Mary Winchester, not Sam Smith. She's fine. But like, I feel like he very clearly told her to leave him alone and go away, and she was like, no, you're going to listen to what I said. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying you had a hand in your own explosion. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was watching that going, no, don't do that. That's such a bad idea. Stop.
He's a literal bomb. Stop it. He wasn't a literal bomb at that point.
But it was a ticking time bomb, I think, at that point. Yeah. You could tell the fuse was very, very short.
The thing with Mary is even that death scene was just another fucking stick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Shit was going reasonably well, and then Jack kills your mum. And now, oh well, what does Sam and Dean do now? Because on the one hand, it's Jack, and they're kind of a bit fond of him, but on the other hand, he did explode their mum.
Yeah, and at that point, that was the end of it, right? Like for Dean. And I mean, Dean was upset with everybody. Dean was upset with Cass. Dean was upset with Jack. He wasn't having any of it. Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah, it was a stick.
Yeah, Mary, the beating stick Winchester.
And then we come to the greatest of dads, right? Lucifer.
I have issues with this.
He is like is he like a quintessential like narcissistic parent? Like, is that kind of like, that was the vibe I got.
That was the vibe. But it was like when Jack decided to like give him the time of day and listen to him. I was screaming at the laptop, But unfortunately, I have first-hand experience of the unknown is enticing to children.
Yeah.
Especially something like that, like an absent parent who reappears is enticing.
Yeah.
You know, I went through it. My biological parent, but like biological father was absent, and I went and tracked him down because I was like, "Hey, what's the deal with you?" And it turns out he was just a wanker. But that's irrelevant. And I have experienced myself being the reliable, the steadfast parent, and a child having far much more interest in the more absent parent. And I don't blame my child for that at all. I totally get it. But I was clawing my face and screaming at it, going, "Jack, no, no, you don't understand." Yeah, it's you know, I'm glad he saw through it, but it's just Lucifer, isn't it? Lucifer sucks. You know, you are my big brother and I love you, but you are a bag of dicks. Yeah, it was. I will say it made for some interesting, especially in Apocalypse World. It made for some interesting with this terrible parent, and you know, yeah. We maybe should have done this after I'd watched to the end of the show, but if we'd have waited for that long,
I don't know.
The podcast would have been over.
Yeah,
we would never have got to it. Would never have got to it.
No, you still retained a lot of like those key moments and stuff. I think it was just a lot of it was Lucifer's promises, as to what they would do together and different things like that. And then I think him just realizing he was just being used. He was just going to be used.
And I think that was all Lucifer wanted for him, his powers.
Yeah.
Whereas, and unfortunately, that is if you have children, and you and the other parent separate, or if you are separated before birth, unfortunately, a lot of children have to learn that lesson that one parent will promise them the earth and deliver nothing, and it is like. To be in Sam and Dean's shoes, to be the steadfast parent that there's always food on the table, and there's always, and maybe I don't buy you a new fucking video game every week, but you never, I'm reliable. It is frustrating, but it's the kids. Unfortunately, a lot of kids do have to learn that lesson that some people do be like that.
Yeah,
and it's difficult, but it's very, very realistic. I think. Very.
They
very
do family.
realistic.
They do family pretty well, at least in terms of twisting the knife. I think on Supernatural, they always
making
tend
you
to really
claw your face and go no.
Yeah.
Very, very realistic for sure.
I mean, I think one person I didn't put on here that maybe we could talk about too is like his relationship with Chuck, because I think that became interesting towards the end as well, because I think that was another dynamic of how he could be possibly used. I think, you know what I mean? Like,
that's kind of what it came down to for Jack, wasn't it? Like looking at it as viewers, we're like, oh, it was, like an injection of new blood. A younger actor drawing a new audience. But from the storyline perspective, poor Jack was just this fucking chess piece that everybody had an idea of what they were going to do with him. And, we're going to move him here, and we're going to move him here, and we're going to do this with him and do this with him. And like, the fucking end of 14 where Chuck's like, oh my god, it's perfect, the father killing the son. Gross. Gross. And like that was a real good moment for Dean to be like, no, actually, this is, I didn't agree to this, but it is now mine. This is, I didn't agree to this child, and I'm pretty sure I don't want it, but it is mine, so you can't have it. But that does lead us quite nicely onto obviously Jack's usurping of Chuck's power, which was, I remember being disappointed when that was revealed. I remember being quite angry about it because I thought it was such a wanky cop out. Like, oh no, he's blah blah Chuck's power, and without rewatching it again.
I didn't like the way it was set up. It seemed like an interesting thing, but to me it was like, I think, well, we talked about this, I think too, it was like, it was a lot more of tell, don't show, or they gave you that little twist of what had been happening the whole time. And they kind of gave it in little bits and pieces, like little montages of scenes and stuff like that. And then to have him do the thing and just incorporate all of Chuck into him.
I think the whole concept of Jack absorbing life essence and those little snippets, like very vividly, the one that sticks out in my mind is Jack walking in front of the planters.
Mm-hmm.
And as he walks, the plants die.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it was almost like, we've talked about it before, every season Supernatural felt like they had to up the level of the big bad. Oh, you defeated God, now you've got to defeat his evil brother Phil. You know, well, it's actually called Metatron. You know, that guy, the devil. Sorry, you defeated the devil. Now you're going to defeat his evil brother Phil. Metatron. You know, whatever. So they've, you know, and like when you think about all of the preparation and all of the effort that they put into trying to deal with Amara, and you know, Dean was consumed the souls, and he was going to be a bomb, and that like they did similar with Jack, but I actually hadn't put those two together. Supernatural rehashing the same plot lines.
Yeah, what a surprise! What a surprise!
Yeah, you know, did you know that if you turn someone into a demon and then undemonize them 3 episodes later, people get pissed off? What if we did it again with an angel? Anyway, moving on. So, like, you know, if we like Amara was established to be like of a similar power level to Chuck. And they, you know, like it was this huge, big, epic fight to deal with Amara, and they got their ass kicked, and then no, they had a chat, and it's all fine now. Plot holes. Let's not get into it.
Yeah,
they got on the set. No, we're gonna make a bomb. Jack's gonna be a bomb, and then they went, no, we'll find another way. And it was just, I felt like it was kind of anticlimactic to be like, oh, the power was in you all along, Jack. You know, and like I'm looking at the wiki that said that like Billy and Jack concocted this thing after Billy hid him in the empty
where the bomb thing. Yeah,
to keep smites Belphegor, blah 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 blah, and then to keep him safe, to keep Jack safe, Billy hides him in the empty until God leaves Earth, and then she resurrects him, and that's when this plan is hatched. I don't know if that was ever established in the show. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, they ended up talking about, because I think that was the thing that he ends up revealing to Cass too. You know, and then of course Cass, you know, doesn't tell. No, Cass tells Dean. Dean doesn't tell Sam. It's a whole thing. It was at that great episode where, you know, they had the monster of the week right before that happened at the very end of that episode, where Sam and Dean were of course upset with each other again. It was a whole thing. She resurrects him, and his soul is restored in the Garden of Eden. He's being turned into a bomb that will cause God and the darkness to cease to exist, but which will be fatal to Jack. Sam prevents them from doing that upon discovering that Billy is making a power play. Jack goes back into the empty and detonates, but he survives, but he's powerless again. And then they are the only survivors left on Earth. The Winchesters and Jack team up with Michael and a reluctantly resurrected Lucifer to defeat God. After the second death of Lucifer and the betrayal and death of Michael, Jack absorbs God's powers and becomes the new God. The effort to turn him into a cosmic bomb having also made Jack a power vacuum that sucks up all of the power around him, including from the fights with Michael, Lucifer, and Chuck. So that's how that all shakes out. And like, that is interesting. That is interesting as like a, you know, from a narrative, that's interesting. But I was just, well, you wipe away the character. In my mind, he's just not going to be, he's leveled up in a way that's no longer really Jack, you know, which of course he's not. Yeah. And I think it was just that. It's kind of sad.
And I don't know, there was something about the like very physical fight that Sam and Dean had with God while Jack was just kind of lurking and absorbing his power. I don't know. I'm like, why is it always my Winchesters that got to bleed for the cause? Get involved, Jack. Like, you could have been in this fight and also absorbing powers. Like, come on now. But yeah, it kind of felt like, you know, after all the climactic big bads that we fought, kind of, it left me feeling angry. It did leave me feeling angry, and I felt like, I mean, I suppose like we don't talk about the last episode, but Jensen has said, like, how else could it be? It couldn't be another big bad. It had to be something completely mundane that Dean, bam, see. Jensen has said, like, it couldn't be this another huge big evil. It had to be something mundane. It had to be something ordinary. So I guess I can see that mirrored in that it couldn't be some big dramatic show of power that took Chuck down. It had to be something more subtle. And I can get that, but I remember feeling kind of cheated by it.
Yeah.
I did.
I mean, I don't know what. It's hard because I don't know what would have really felt.
They'd written themselves into a corner by that point, because it just every season was just more and more and more and more. And we'd done the bomb plot twice. I don't know where you go from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I don't know. Like narratively, I equally can't think of any other way to do that. And like I said, it's a cool idea narratively that these had made him a power vacuum. But I really think he could have got a bloody nose for the cause. That's all. I just really fucking think he could have got
his white coat then if he'd gotten a bloody nose. He wouldn't
fucking care. Could have got a bloody nose for the cause. But then also Jack being there when Sam and Dean laugh at Chuck and go, "You can't win. We're going to keep getting up. You can knock us down and we are going to keep getting up and we are not going to stop fighting." Jack being there it just wouldn't have been as powerful. Yeah. Wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been 15 years of fuck you at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, it all makes sense. It's just, again, all the pieces can make sense, but it just still doesn't. It doesn't hit the way you're expecting it to, I think. And again, like, I just don't like the thinking about what Jack is now as the new god. Not that it's bad. And I think he was going to try to learn to do it differently, but you are losing a person, and you could see that Sam and Dean were losing the Jack that they knew. And that was another loss, from them.
And they'd lost everybody by that point. Obviously, Cass has then seen, a little while before.
And we don't really know what happened after that. Like, apparently people came back, but we don't know if a lot of people came back.
No, the wiki says, I Googled it. The wiki says that as the new god, Jack resurrects everyone that Chuck had wiped from existence. So
we don't see them. That's what bugs me. Because it's like you don't really know that connection.
Blame COVID. Hashtag could have waited another 6 months to film. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about this the other day. You know that phrase, like, hurt people hurt people. And one of the reasons that Castiel sucked massive dick as the new god is that he was full of vengeance and retribution, and it wasn't that he was going to make it better. He was going to right his personal grievances, his personal wrongs. He felt shouldn't be this way, or he can do it better. Like, he had an agenda. And I think one of the great things about Jack doing that is that in his short stint with the Winchesters, he'd seen the good and he'd seen the bad, but he hadn't had time to become jaded and cynical. And although the wiki says that even though he was biologically 3, like, mentally he was in his like mid-20s or whatever, there's like,
you think because he didn't have
he hadn't had time to
been there, done that, seen this 50 million times.
Sit with grudges and, and also as well, like, we don't know how much Jack actually knew about the history of everything. Like, we know, like, there's a line Castiel says about seeing the first fish crawl onto land and Gabriel telling him, "Don't step on that fish. Father has big plans for that fish," And then obviously Cass got the the info dump update from Metatron. But we don't know how much Jack knows about the history of the world, the history of humanity. I could only think that kind of ignorance would be a benefit in a situation like that, because you have no biases. you have no,
Yeah.
humans are vengeful, so I'm going to fix that. Or this is bad. He was just like, I'm just going to put it back to how it was and just let it be.
So I know that he also absorbed Amara, right?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Which is
Yes.
also like a weird thing to me, but like, so I
Well,
think
Amara and Chuck were like yin and yang when they were like two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other.
And but I mean, just imagining, like understanding that that's a thing, that you got somebody else going on with you, kind of a situation. But having that sort of counsel in a way that I think they were going to try to do something differently and do it together. I think in a way that Chuck didn't want to do with Amara. So I think there was an interest in doing it differently, trying it a different way that I think was refreshing, but also I was just like, hope that works for you. Because I'm sorry, I think after a while, and again, this would be if they were ever to come back and do something else. I wonder if they would follow that thread with Jack as to what that means for him over time, and if something switches and he becomes more like, not more like Chuck, but more vengeful in a way, or something, switches in him, and that's it. There's like, I don't know. He seemed a little bit different when we saw him for like 2 minutes on the Winchesters. He seemed more daddy-ish.
Yeah, see, when we bring the Winchesters in to the equation, that does kind of, I don't want to say that negates everything good I just said about Jack and all the things he has going for him as the new god. But when we look at the Winchesters, he was very Chuck, and he let the story play out until it was potentially going to affect him. And then he stepped in. He told Dean, don't fuck around. Don't do that. And Dean was like, I'm just going to fuck around a little bit though, lol. And he waited until the last bit. And then he was like, oh, whoops, well, I better fix this now. And it was kind of very Chuck stepping in for the outcome that he wanted.
Yeah.
But then
weird.
Equally on that, it could have been Jack going, I'm not interfering. I'm not. I told you not to. You fucking done it. Right, deal with it. Up until the last second when actually it was going to be a direct threat to our Earth, quote unquote. And then stepping in and going, all right, fucking fine. It's difficult. It's difficult to place. It is.
Yeah.
It is difficult to place. As I say, Jack ultimately adopts a stern and no-nonsense personality as the new god, instituting a rule that there will be no interference from on high anywhere with no exceptions in order to allow mankind to make their own fate. As a result, Jack doesn't intervene when the Accreeders surface, even though they are Chuck's failsafe meant to destroy all of creation. After Bobby gets Jack for help, he sternly admonishes Jack. Alexander has never sternly done anything a day in his life. That is a puppy right there. He sternly admonishes Dean for breaking his role to help the Monster Club stop the Accreeder, but Dean defends his actions as necessary to protect their world from Sam, protect their world and Sam, who deserves a nice long life. Dean goes as far as to challenge Jack to cast him out of heaven if he must for it, but after Bobby backs Dean up, Jack relents, although he looks conflicted before he even decides to let it go. Afterwards, Jack displays a glimmer of his old humour by telling Dean that after this, it's time to get around to the There'll Be Peace When You Are Done part of the song. And he not only allows Dean to finish what he started, but helps him out by giving Dean the Colt, possibly restored by Jack himself after Dagon seemingly damaged it beyond repair, to give to Mary and John. So, mended the relationship, Dean introduces Jack as family. Jack may also have allowed Dean's detour through the multiverse, as Dean mentions that when he took his detour, he only had to follow Jack's rule about no interference. By not only allowing Dean to finish his meddling and providing him with the Colt, Jack indirectly gives John and Mary the chance to avoid their possible demise at Azazel's hands and prevent the chain of events in the Monster Club universe that led to the apocalypse in the main universe. Given the glimpse of Jack's old humour and his reaction to the reminder of Sam being in danger if Dean hadn't intervened, Jack's actions and rather gentle admonishment. Wait, make your mind up, Wiki. Was it stern or gentle? may have been Jack stepping back from his role as the new god for a moment to become the Jack that had been a hunter, a member of Team Free World 2.0, and a member of the Winchester family. Again, for a brief moment to help out those he cared
So he's
about.
conflicted too, apparently. So yeah, so we've got a conflict.
Apparently, none of us are on the same page. There are multiple pages. Pick a page, people. Pick a page. But like overall, while we have quibbles, I think he was a good addition to the end of the show, and I think he did see it off, in a good way. And like I said, even like if we take the Winchesters out of the equation completely, because that was just a whole mess. Sorry, Jensen. that was a whole mess. I think the potential was there with Jack is not a hurt person. He's still mostly innocent.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have an axe to grind against anybody. You know, he has any retributions that he's dealt with. He dealt with Apocalypse World Michael. He dealt with Lucifer. He dealt with Chuck. He has no unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
He has no axe to grind. He has nothing he feels the need to put right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he can conceivably say, I'll fix it, and then just do what you please with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, I'm really, really married to the headcanon that Jack and Cass are rebuilding heaven, and Dean shows up a little bit too early, and they're like, "Oh fuck, it's not ready! Oh bloody hell! Somebody said I was Dean's favorite beer. Oh my god, this is a fucking disaster! Nothing is ready." I'm really married to that headcanon that Dean just shit went a little shit went a little bit sideways, and as always, Dean subverts expectations. Winchester showed up, and Jack was like, "Ah, tits! Put him in the car, send him on a journey for 50 years, and bang." But yeah, no. Overall, Jack doesn't. I don't think Jack receives the same kind of enthusiastically positive that we've given other people, apart from Chuck. But yeah, not a bad card to play at the 10th hour, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's still a snack, y'all. He's still endearingly awkward. That little wave he does before he leaves in his like dad jeans and his white shoes.
Yeah.
That's cute.
He is cute.
He's endearing. And also, I have seen the behind the scenes of Alex being shoved into a photo that just ruins the illusion for me a little bit. He must have been filming Gen V then, actually, because his hair's bleached.
Yeah.
And his little hoodie with his hunched shoulders, like,
he's like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I love that photo so much. It's one of my favorites.
Gosh.
It's one of my favorite con photos that any of us have gotten.
Goodness. There's a lot going on. Yeah, no, this was good. This was a good, like, really kind of, I think, just taking a look at a character that, I mean, I'd be interested in hearing what other people think of him too, because I know
for sure.
For me, it's just like I take him from Dean's point of view too, and it's just it's complicated. It's a complicated relationship,
it's a difficult one. We understand. We're not holding it against Dean.
Yeah,
that would be
some of it. Yes, some of it is Dean's fault, but we're gonna some of it's Dean.
That's so big of you, because I will die on the hill that Sam Winchester is a fucking baby and he's never done a thing wrong a day in his life.
I know.
And Sam's over here like all mature, like, no, Dean fucks up sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, Dean fucks up a lot, but I still love him. But he fucks up a lot. But yes, he fucks up a lot. But yeah, so I think we're going to try to wrap this up. It's been a day. We've been recording pretty long today.
What are we on, like 8 hours now?
I think
my god!
But we did a lot of other stuff in between too. So it's just one of those days.
8.5 hours we've been at this, and we've recorded 2 episodes.
Yeah,
we had some stuff to do in between where, like, we had some it's not been 8 hours solidly of recording, but
it's been 8 hours of Kasey and Sandra time. So yeah,
and that's great. We love Kasey and Sandra time.
It was needed, much needed.
We needed
but yeah, let us know your thoughts on Jack, and what do you think of the snack?
That boy's a goddamn snack.
Is he just a whole like the nougat? Is he your favorite nougat? Is he a Kit Kat? Is he whatchamacallit? What kind of snack is he? What kind of
snack is your Jack? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that would be a great character. That would be a great episode title if we were going for the first angle.
Jack is a snack. Hey, it rhymes, so we might do Jack is a snack. The new god, Jack is a snack. Yeah, but yes, let us know about Jack Jack and Jack Attack. And thank you for listening. Let us know what
And
you thought of
also,
okay, go ahead.
Okay. Also, tell us what kind of puppy you think Jack is, and Sam and Dean. We're not talking about the actors, we're talking about the characters. So just to refresh, Sam is a German Shepherd, Dean is a Japanese Akita, and Jack is a Jack Russell Terrier. Yeah. That's our professional opinions. And I don't actually have dogs for Alex and Jensen. I just have Jared as a golden retriever.
Yeah.
But let us know.
Somebody's done that somewhere. We have to look that stuff up. Yeah.
Well, Misha's a wiener dog. We know that. What the fuck was the name of the dog that was named Jensen?
What
was the name of the dog that was named Jensen? Oh, I can't fucking remember. I can only remember. Oh, we have a wiener dog named Misha. If anybody can remember the name of the dog from that story that Jensen was telling when he went to the distillery and he met somebody, I was like, oh, we have a such and such named Jensen and a wiener dog named Misha.
God. Oh, okay. We're going to hear a lot from people listening. So if you want to tell us all the things, email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. Comment on Spotify in the Q&A section. Leave a YouTube comment. Join our Discord and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website, idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride.
Don't forget, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, and sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes that we support in the description. So you have LGBTQ plus talking charities from me, mental health charities from Sandra, and the main causes that we are championing, highlighting, spotlighting until such time as they are hopefully not needed, but that time is not today, unfortunately, is World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. Both of these charities are on the ground working in the Ukraine to help those still affected by Russia's unlawful invasion of the Ukraine, and in Gaza, which is in the crossfire of the war between Israel and Hamas. This is not political. It doesn't matter which side of these issues you stand on. We're coming from a purely humanitarian view here. There are people in the Ukraine and Gaza that are trapped, cut off from basic human rights like food, water, and shelter, and they're dying. They didn't ask for war, and we want to help the people risking their lives to help them. If you cannot or do not want to donate financially, that's absolutely fine. Just sharing links around social media helps massively to keep these issues in the public eye and get people in need all the help that we can. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the back seat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.